Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. It's Dr. Arlene Dijamco, the multidimensional MD. And I'm just back in town as of yesterday and really happy to be here and would love to share some of my holiday adventures with you. So, this podcast, I will be talking about some post holiday detox and to help you just kind of enter the new year with more clarity. And I'm gonna share with you some of the stories that I've had over the last 2 weeks that will just help explain like how I see things and what's going on. So I've been out of town for just over a week, and when we first set out, we it was the day after Christmas, and I've never seen the airport so packed. There were news cameras everywhere because people were missing their flights, even if you got there 2, 3 hours ahead of your flight. And it was really interesting because we spent over 12 hours in the airport, and not a big deal compared to so much that is going on in the world. But it's also not physically easy to have your whole family and everyone with you, and for everyone to be like completely sleep deprived. We have 4 kids, so but I do remember my one of my kids saying like, "I would be more stressed, but the parents aren't stressed, so I think we're okay." And it really made me remember how we respond to things also affects our family, affects the people around us, and everyone in the airport, even though it was completely packed, was everyone was actually really relatively calm. Um, there were whole lines of people missing their flights, and we would just have to laugh about it because it's that everyone would raise their hand like, "Who's missed their flight so far?" And then the whole line would be raising their hand, and there was really not much you could do about it except for accept it somehow and, just sinking into that feeling of, there must be a reason for this, and we're still here, we're together, all is well. Um, there are things that are not easy, but at the same time, everything is okay somehow. And I know this can be a lot harder to feel through when there are much more traumatic and dramatic things going on, but seeing through things in a way that, how is this helpful in a way? Or how can I see this through the eyes of love? And so it really helped me appreciate those smaller mundane moments, even just with the family, just sitting, waiting, and appreciating that those precious little moments of being together. And then realizing that, even if difficult things are happening, that we are still loving. And sometimes we might hear of difficult news, but realizing, and I say this often, that even though we hurt, the reason we hurt is because that we love. So to embrace your difficulties somehow and see them through love and wonder like what is there that um, something maybe some good could come out of it. And so once we finally got on our rescheduled flight, which was about 12 hours later, um, it was really interesting because I had this flash, this premonition of, I wonder what would happen if there was another medical emergency in flight. And this has happened to me like several times before, but I don't usually think that before I get on a flight. And then like shortly, less than half an hour on the board, we are in the air, and of course, the flight attendant calls out, "Is there anyone medical on board?" And just push your button. So I pushed my button, and I didn't wait for them. I just like got up and like went to see what was going on. And somebody had passed out, which also just in a completely different setting, like you're not in your office, not in the emergency room, not in the hospital. So to be able to assess something when you don't know anything about the person, you're getting all kinds of information from people around you is a really interesting practice of sorting through misinformation. Because when I first saw the woman laying on the ground, I don't know what happened. I don't know if she had a heart attack. I don't know if she had a stroke. I don't know if she had a seizure. I don't know if she just had a vasovagal reaction and fainted, or she just her blood sugar dropped. I You don't know what happened. So no one did. But then I'm getting all this information from everyone around. So most of the people surrounding were telling me she had a seizure. We saw her, she had a seizure. And I had to ask them to describe it to me because you can't just take it at face value of like, oh, if they said she had a seizure, she must have had a seizure. There is so much to assess. And I'm saying this also to you metaphorically, not just to hear the medical in-flight emergency story, which is really always fascinating, but to be able to sort through misinformation that you are receiving from all around you and to stay really clear and grounded in who you are so that you can sort through misinformation and make decisions. Because there are big decisions to be made when there is an in-flight emergency, because you have to assess like how big of an emergency is this? Do we need to land the plane? And most of the people on there had missed their flight, so it had been rescheduled. So it's a very long day for everyone. But everyone was like really lovely on board. They're like, okay. So I had to sort through all of that and then start to get more information like from her family. And then her daughter had said that, well, there had been people in the family that had had a stomach bug. But then there are also seizures in the family. And then the woman, when she woke up, she was like, I had a seizure. I know I had a seizure. And so you're wondering, like, did she really have a seizure? Was there some sort of chemical imbalance going on? Did she have a heart attack and we need to land and we need to get her emergent medical care at a hospital right away? So it's a practice of just breathing through and being really still in the chaos, because your decisions are going to affect a lot of people. So, to be able to sort through and take in all the information and to be able to feel yourself too, and to be able to think clearly so that you can give like some recommendations that are helpful, and knowing that it's affecting, well, not just me because I'm on flight, but the person that had passed out, and then everybody on the plane. So, it all ended out well. What had happened was that she hadn't drank anything in the day, and she was just starting to become a bit warmer. So she was coming down with a febrile, viral kind of stomach bug illness. She was feeling really nauseated, and she had stood up, and then she had felt that nausea, and she actually had like, I don't want to be too graphic here, but she had vomited on herself, and it was that moment before she had fainted and she'd sort of like stiffened up and her eyes rolled. And so everyone had thought she had a seizure, but it did not sound like she had a seizure. We got her taken care of, and got her to a seat next to her daughter, and everything was fine. And we were able to continue with the flight. I'm going to leave out too much graphic information, but what I want you to get out of this is that how do you stay clear when there's a lot going on and there's chaos and you're getting information from all around you that may or may not be accurate? Okay, so the first thing is to be physically clear. So this is part of that post-holiday detox. So if you're like many families, you've had lots of treats and things, delicious things to eat. And hello, hi, Sia. I'm not sure what that is, but hello, thank you so much for being here. Um, and so you want your to be physically clear. So if you've had lots of treats and sugar, or you've had more alcohol than usual, then the first step will be to cleanse your body. So to just get clear, whether that is a day of fasting for you, or flushing out your body with extra fluids. Say you've just been more dehydrated. If you've had more sugar and salt, chances are you're more dehydrated. Or if you travel to areas that are a bit more dry, you could be more dehydrated. So making sure that you get enough water, sipping on it until it runs clear. You could put a little pinch of sea salt in there, help it be more hydrating. And before you drink your water, you could just hold it and think of good thoughts, and that will also be more nourishing and hydrating than guzzling tap water that is not as easy for your body to assimilate. So it's great to get the best water that you can. And if you if you taste the tap water and your body feels like rejecting it, then chances are it's not really assimilating it either. Like if the taste is not so great. So do whatever you can to get the best water that you can. You can also go to places like this salt caves or halotherapy, where you get to inhale and the minerals from the air, just being surrounded by salt. It's supposed to be like 3 days in the ocean, but you get to just to sit there and relax and meditate. Or you could go to a float tank or a sensory deprivation chamber, because the holiday is a time for some people, not everyone, but if you have a big family like I do, there can be a lot of sensory input, and so sometimes you need a break from that sensory input to reset, so that you can be aware of your inner workings and have more clarity and access to your intuition. Because if you're bombarded constantly with sensory input, you can start to be confused about what your reality is, and start to rely too much on the external to understand your internal, when really you're supposed to live from the inside out. And I talk often about the alkaline diet, Edgar Casey's alkaline diet. And if you haven't watched that episode, please do. But anything that you can do to alkalize your diet and reset that way, then it'll help you. And I know I get really run down when I travel and my diet is off. And if it's not as alkaline, then I'll be more prone to catching coughs and colds and whatever viral thing is going on. But if I just reset my body and detox it, so feeding it more nourishing things. So in a nutshell, an alkaline diet is 80% alkaline, 20% acidic. And the alkaline part is going to be mostly veggies, so mostly like leafy veggies, 3 to 1 above ground to below ground. And those root veggies would be the below ground veggies. And then in the 20% acidic part is going to be your combined grains, meats, poultry, fish, um, and dairy products, except for yogurt. So most people's diets are way more acidic than alkaline. And sometimes I look at the kids' diets and they're like 100% acidic. So if anyone's coming down with things, or you're just feeling that holiday crud or winter crud, then definitely start to alkalize your diet. If you've been drinking more alcohol than usual, or if you are taking a break, a lot of people do that in January, you can do some castor oil liver packs. Very easy to do. You get some cotton or wool flannel, preferably organic, about 4 layers, wrap it around your right side, around your liver. And you can do that with or without a heat pack on top of it. Just a drizzle of a castor oil, really a spoonful spread out will be enough. So 1 to 2 tablespoons. And you could either sleep with that overnight, or just sit and relax and meditate or watch a show, leave it on for a couple hours, and that will help to detox your liver. If your adrenals are a bit under, you're just been staying up with family or parties or just holiday stuff, even worries, then you might need to support your adrenals some, get some extra vitamin C that can help them, along with everything else that I've mentioned, and plenty of other things that I've talked about in other podcasts. But even just getting that extra vitamin C around the clock. So you might want to take vitamin C 3 to 4 times a day, because you will urinate the excess out. So it's difficult to take too much. And then that leads us to the mental, emotional piece of being clear. And so again, a first step I said is to be physically clear, but now we want to address mental, emotional part head on. And one of the first steps of that is what I call becoming meta. which helps you sort through misinformation and trust your essence. And so this is about getting really quiet in the chaos. So becoming meta is about being aware of your own awareness. So a meta awareness. Meta means like awareness of awareness. That would be meta awareness. Just like meta analysis is an analysis of analyses. So when you have when you become meta, you are aware of your own consciousness. You're conscious of your own soul. So I teach this to the physicians and the osteopaths, and this is something really fascinating. We're going to delve into it in a couple of weeks a bit more with a group of physicians and osteopaths of how you can sense that meta awareness in the body. But for yourself, you can do that just by being aware of your own thinking, just by being aware of your own emotions, because you're already experiencing it. So in that way, you're living it. So there's awareness, consciousness in that. But when you kind of turn back around on yourself, and this is a perfect time of year to do that. I mean, every time of the year is really great. And if you are aware of your own experience in that meta way, it is so comforting because it is like embracing yourself fully. Whatever you are experiencing, that you are aware of yourself. So if you're hurting, it's being aware of your hurt. If you're joyful, it's being aware of your joy. If you're aware of like what's coming in through your senses, then you can also start to become more intentional about what you are putting out into the world. So this is if you're just quiet and just are aware of your thoughts as they go by, then they will shift on their own. If you are quiet and just aware of your emotions going by, they will shift on your own. So this is starting to let the waves go through you instead of becoming stuck. And that awareness helps with the flow because you're embracing your experience no matter what. And you can make intentions for this year. Of course, the new year, people love to do that. Or even like every moon cycle, you can do that. But if you start to become more intentional and conscious of what you would like to see and be in the world, then you will avoid making the past your future if you don't want it to be. So if you would like to see something different in your future, then be more aware, have meta awareness, watch your words and how you say things. So you can do something very simple. This doesn't have to be really intense and difficult. You could create for your own mantra. This is an example. This year, I'd love to be myself as much as possible. And so in that is already built in, like you can't fail. You cannot fail in being yourself because you're the only one that can be you. So this year, I'd love to be myself as much as possible. That means embracing myself every step of the way through the ups and downs. And I realize that I am light and I am love, and I choose to be an expression of my true self. So you're already, by setting that intention, you have a meta awareness because you are letting yourself be yourself and you're embracing yourself being yourself. And at the same time, you're recognizing your light and love, and you're setting an intention to be an expression of your true self, the essence of who you are. So a lot of times we are going through life and living the illusion of it. Like living through the material things that we feel make us alive. And I'm not saying like not to enjoy material comforts. I'm just saying that realizing that this is an illusion of who we are and who we are not. So not to rely on the external to tell you who you are. So if you just set a simple mantra like that, this year I'd love to be myself as much as possible. That means embracing myself every step of the way through the ups and downs. I realize that I am light and I am love, and I choose to be an expression of my true self. Do you see how much you can set yourself up for success in saying a simple mantra like that, and how you cannot even fail, and how you elevate yourself no matter what position you're in, no matter what you're going through and experiencing. If you say a mantra like that, you will elevate yourself no matter what is going on. So then it does not rely on the external to feel the truth of who you are, your internal love and light. And then that takes us to the last part, because I always love to go through this in a body, mind, spirit way. But we are already touching on spirit. And this is what I kept saying to myself and just feeling for my family when we were going through the airport and all the chaos of that, and having stayed up half the night, but then having to like be at the airport for another 12 plus hours. I just kept saying, all is well. Not, you can say it out loud, but I just said it quietly to myself, just thinking it, feeling it. All is well, all is well. And there must be a reason for this. And then, coming full circle back around to that medical emergency, that was the second flight we were on. And so, I felt lucky and honored to be able to be on that flight and to help in a small way for everyone and for the person that had passed out, because I wouldn't have been there had we gotten on our original flight. And and I had so much time just to like meditate and reflect, because we were just sitting for hours on end. And it was actually like a small miracle for me, because I had some revelations that I wrote down for the course that I'm teaching in a couple of weeks for physician osteopaths. And I wouldn't have had that too unless we had missed that flight, because I wouldn't have had that kind of time just to sit and do nothing. So I appreciate any of these moments, like the fun and the active moments, but also the times where life just seems to be chaotic, but then at the same time really still, because it makes you be really still to be able to appreciate it and to really embrace those small moments, which there are many more small moments than the seemingly like really big occasions. And so if we learn to embrace those small moments, and elevate ourselves in those small moments and the people around us, then you can see what trajectory that puts you on for the new year. And the last thing I wanted to share with you was that, so we went to Palm Springs last week with my whole extended family, and for the first time ever, I got to experience these geothermal mineral springs at the spot at Sehi, which is this Native American land and protected, like, sacred springs. So I've never done that before. So it was really magical for me. And this water had traveled 1.5 miles from below the surface of the earth and had been warmed by the core of the earth, and so it was like naturally warmed by the earth. And so because so much of what I do is like feeling things and feeling different waters and fluids, I it was amazing to be able to feel the geothermal mineral springs, because this water felt unlike any water I had ever felt before. And what it felt like to me was pure potency. Like it felt like primordial water. It was like water before it's been born as water. So I just thought about, human beings, like before you're born, that's what it felt like. It's like before you had even been conceived, it's like this primordial, pure potency energy that hadn't even decided what form it would like to take. That's how it felt to me. And that was an amazing reminder to me of who we all are. We are these amazing light beings, and we can always return to that pure potency of infinite possibility at any moment. And we are mostly water. So this is amazing meditation. And maybe I'll put this together as a meditation as well. But just to be able to sit and meditate and be surrounded by this primordial water, pure potency, and then to feel my own waters, since we're mostly made out of water, and to let them match that pure potency. And so it was incredibly inspiring. And am so happy that I be and can share that with you today, and hopefully that you can feel some of that through the words that I'm saying and how I'm conveying that to you. So that would just be a beautiful meditation, and you can. And I did that later on too. Even when I was just sitting in the tub, I put some salt water in there, and I just imagined that I was back in the geothermal mineral springs, and I just imagined that this water has pure potency, and so do I. And whatever you would like to be, you can be. And that is my hope for you for the new year. So however you would like to express your true self in the world, then I hope and dream that for you too. So thank you so much for being here with me again today. You can always connect with me on Instagram at All Worlds Health, Facebook, All Worlds Health and Pediatrics, TikTok sometimes, the Multidimensional MD, and you can always sign up for my love letters. I send them out once a week on Wednesdays, and that's at allworldshealth.com. So lots of love to all of you. I believe in you, so I hope that you believe in you too. And love and hope and joy and peace for a beautiful 2024 for all of you. Take care. I'll see you next week on another episode of The Multidimensional MD. Bye.